Hi guys, just out for a Sunday morning walk. Beautiful calm morning, but looky here. You can see from the size of my hand, and I've got some pretty big hands, those are moose tracks. Haven't seen the moose out here in a couple years, but I strongly suspected they're still out here, and this confirms it. No doubt in my mind, those are moose tracks. We don't have a lot of cows roaming around out here, so it could be nothing else but moose. Hi guys, Saturday, July 11th, my sister's birthday. Happy birthday, Stacy. I'm out here in the forest, and the blueberries are out. I might be a little bit early. They're not very big. They're not totally ripe yet, but I'm out here. I want to pick some. I've got my berry picking little pail. The one thing that I've forgotten is bug spray, and the mosquitoes are eating me alive, but luckily I've got a long shirt on, and I'll stick it out for as long as I can. But I've seen better years. Matter of fact, 2 years ago the berries were almost twice as big and were all ripe at the same time. Not really sure why, probably something to do with the weather and all the rain, but I'll keep you posted on my haul. Obviously it takes a while. They're small and few and far between, so it'll take a while to fill up my little bucket, but again, I'll keep you posted. Hi guys, I'm packing it in. I've been out here, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or so. Doesn't look like much for blueberries. That's not a bad haul for 30 minutes. But as mentioned before, I forgot bug spray, or forgot to put bug spray on, so the mosquitoes are literally, I'm getting dizzy from the blood loss to the mosquitoes. It's only a slight exaggeration, but I'm tempted to go back home, put on some bug spray, or get some bug spray and come back out, but they're not quite ready. I'm going to give them maybe another day or so for them to fatten up and ripen up, but I'll keep you posted. Hi guys, I just wanted to give you an update on the progress of the greenhouse and the garden. I apologize for the bad lighting. As you can see, it's kind of cloudy, overcast, and dark right now, but inside the greenhouse things are going quite well. From a tomato standpoint, you can see we've got a lot of different varieties of tomatoes that are coming along nicely. We should be eating tomatoes very soon. Some of these black crim, and they're supposed to look like that, by the way. Some of those black crim should be ready. We have had a few already that we ate where the branch was just too heavy and it broke off of the plant, and we just ripened them on the counter in the kitchen, and they were tasty. But we should be picking from the vine here real soon. You can see a bunch of different varieties, everything really looking healthy and nice. Still getting tons and tons of flowers. Got some basil mixed in there, but what I really wanted to point out was, if you remember from a previous video, we were having some terrible aphid problems with our peppers. And you can see, for example, this plant I think got the worst of it. There's almost all the leaves fell off. There's no new flowers, so we won't get a second or third crop, but the peppers that were already there seem to survive and are growing quite well. You can see we've got a lot of different peppers in there. So strange year. It's too bad we got those aphids. They about knocked us out, but things did come back, and you can see some of the plants, there really are no new blossoms. On other plants, we do have some new blossoms, so we may get a second crop out of these, which sometimes we actually get 3. But also, my wife just yesterday removed one of our indoor cucumber plants. It had just simply reached the end of its time. You can see from the color on the leaves here, this one is reaching the end of its time. However, we are still getting, cucumbers, so we just keep letting it go until the plant gives out. You'll see the fruits start to go yellow. But again, we've got 2 solid rows of tomatoes on this side. We've got some basil mixed in there somewhere. But from a tomato standpoint, things are great. From a pepper standpoint, not the best, but really, if you'd asked me a month ago, I figured all our pepper plants were gonna die. So no complaints. Strawberries are pretty much done. Really good year for strawberries. We've got some garlic that really didn't come out as big and nice as we had liked. That is summer garlic, not winter garlic. And in these boxes we got some various greens, some spinach out there, a few more onions, beets. We had a tough time with beets this year. Pretty much none of our plants came up from seeds, so my wife had to go to the farmer's market and get some seedlings, which she replanted, and those are coming along okay. A few more onions. Carrots were a complete bust this year. We don't know why. We've got, you know, you can count them, maybe 6-7 carrots in there, which is a disaster, but more on that later. Peas are pretty much done. Pretty good year on peas, as mentioned in a recent video. I don't know why, but my wife got some different seeds this year where the plants really didn't get that tall. The peas themselves were nice. You can see there's still a few in there. Really nice, fat and sweet ones. We've got some what are called sugar snap peas at the end. I will be removing those real soon, maybe even today. They're pretty much done. Our outside cucumber plants coming along nicely. You can see in there there's lots of blossoms coming along. So we usually time it where we start to get cucumbers out here outside just as the ones on the inside of the greenhouse are wrapping up. Onions out here, which oddly enough the onions in the garden seem to do much better than the onions in the raised beds. More on that later. We've got a pumpkin here. These Hascat berries are pretty much done, well, are done. You can see there's a few ones in there, right? Another box of strawberries that are done. This is, I think, gooseberry. We just planted this, so nothing really coming from that. But our currants this year, currants really did well. You can see the branches are very heavy with fruits and berries. My wife has already picked kilograms of berries from these plants, and we're still getting more. So very good year from a currant standpoint, black and red. I think there's some white ones in there as well. We got another pumpkin. Of course, asparagus has been done for a long time. Few sad looking bean plants in there. Usually we have more of those. Zucchinis, as always, cranking right along. Our high bush blueberries, otherwise known as shallowgas, doing nicely, although as mentioned in previous videos, we're not going to have near as much this year as we did last year. These plants are getting on 6 years old now, maybe 5, but they're getting old. My wife had to trim back a lot of the branches last fall, so we just simply don't have as many branches, berries, or anything else, but we will have a few. They're starting to ripe up. We will need to cover these to protect from the birds very soon. You can see some redneck wind protection here. The wind was really whipping these plants around. But that's pretty much it. I will talk to you next out in the forest. I want to give you an update on whether gardening is worth it or not. More to come. Hi guys. Another beautiful, beautiful day here in Lithuania. Not a cloud in the sky. Nice temperatures, no humidity. Just out for a walk here in the forest, and the main topic of this episode is something I've been wanting to talk about for quite a while, and that's the topic of gardening. You know, is it really worth it? And that's a tough question to answer. Of course, it depends on many things. Mainly depends on who you are, but it also depends on where you're gardening, what you're gardening, and what you're in it for. You know, each year, my wife and I, at the end of the year in the fall, when everything's said and done and I cultivate for the last time, pretty much every year we say, you know what, next year let's scale things back, or we'll even say, you know what, let's let the soil rest next year. Essentially take a year off from gardening and maybe just have some tomatoes and peppers in the greenhouse. And that never works out. By about February, we're both kind of excited and looking forward to the new gardening season, and we do it all over again. But you know, for other people, you know, they've got different motivation on why to do it. You know, honestly, it wasn't that many years ago where gardening was kind of a necessity for people. People did it because they had to provide some of their own food. Sorry, the lighting just dropped. But again, gardening was a necessity, and preserving what you produced in the garden for the year until the next year. Nowadays, you know, it's not that way at all. You know, throughout the summer season, there's farmers markets everywhere, and they're great. Produce is great, reasonable prices depending on where you go. And the grocery store, if you don't have a farmer's market, is pretty decent. In the off season, over the winter, that's changed a lot too. Not that many years ago, the produce section in the grocery stores during the winter time was a joke. Really nothing there. Nowadays, year-round, you can get pretty decent fresh produce in most grocery stores. What you can't get fresh, you can get from a can or from a jar, and it's pretty decent and pretty decent prices. So, you know, generally people that garden nowadays do it as a hobby, which is pretty much how my wife and I do it. It's a hobby. Of course, we're fortunate enough financially to be able to go and buy whatever fruits and vegetables we need throughout the year, but we just choose to do gardening mostly because it's fun. From a financial standpoint, I don't think it's worth it, especially the way we do it. When you factor in the cost of a greenhouse and these raised beds and all of the things that you buy, little hand tools and shovels and rakes that you invest in for your garden, you can buy a lot of fresh produce with that same money. So I don't think it's financially worth it. There's other challenges that you run into. I mean, in the best of times, things are good, but it never works out that way. You're constantly fighting too much rain, not enough rain, too hot, too cold, hail, wind, you name it. And also, as we had this year, we had an aphid problem on our peppers that I thought was going to wipe out our peppers. So you just never know. So, you know, it's for me personally, I'd have to say, yes, it is worth it. Even with all of the frustration that sometimes go with gardening. And again, nothing ever goes perfectly. Some years are better than others, but overall, gardening is worth it for me. So I guess in summary, gardening's not for everybody. You got to be in it for the right reason. That being said, you know, there are definitely some things that are fulfilling, and it's hard to explain to a non-gardener. There are certain fruits and vegetables that if you don't eat them within, you know, 30 minutes or an hour of picking them, the flavor actually changes. It's hard to explain, especially with tomatoes and you know, a few other crops. If you've never had a tomato freshly picked from the vine within the last 30 minutes or an hour, try it. You'll see the difference in flavor. Take it for whatever it's worth. Thanks for hanging in there with me on this one. We'll talk to you soon. Hi guys. The raspberries are finally starting to pop. Again, just like with the wild blueberries, maybe not the best year. They seem a little smaller than usual, but still plenty. As you can see, we've got quite a few. These are kind of wild slash domesticated. Over there we've got some, and I'm not sure if you can see, the lighting's pretty bad, but we've got some of the yellow wild raspberries, which are good too, but a lot smaller, a lot fewer of them. But it is berry season, at least blueberries and raspberries. Not a bad haul for 20 minutes work. So we'll get them rinsed and either put them to the freezer or eat them fresh.